Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is Explanation of Battle Through the Heavens episode number 225 based on novel. So let's start. The four of them are all refining Tier 9 mysterious pills. Yao Dan watched these unusual phenomenons form in the sky from the leader's seat. His expression involuntarily became a little strange. With his eyesight, he was able to see through the battle of these four individuals. He might not be aware of the others' abilities, but he at least understood Elder Wanhua well. Elder Wanhuo's alchemist skill might be quite great, but his chances of successfully refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill likely did not exceed 20%. Moreover, the refinement of a Tier 9 mysterious pill required the absorption of a relatively terrifying amount of natural energy. Although the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius of this medicine mountain was extremely dense, it was clearly impossible for it to support the formation of 4 Tier 9 mysterious pills. Based on his estimates, even if all of the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius of this medicine mountain was absorbed, it would be somewhat difficult to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill. Moreover, these fellows were refining 4 of them together. If it was so easy to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill, it would not be so rare in this world. Yao Dan slightly shook his head. He did not think that any of the 4 individuals would be able to successfully refine this pill in his heart. Hence, the 4 of them would likely fail and end up in a draw during this competition. Of course, his eyesight was sharp, and it was possible for him to look quite far ahead. However, the others did not possess such eyesight. Hence, all of them revealed shocked and joyous expressions as they stared at the sky. This unusual pill refinement scene was really extremely rare. Yao Laro also frowned as he sat in his seat. Although he was aware that Xiao Yan had obtained an extremely rare Tier 9 mysterious pill medicinal formula from the first elder of the pill tower before leaving, he had not expected Xiao Yan to pick it as his target this time around. Although a Tier 9 treasure pill and a Tier 9 mysterious pill was only a one-word difference, the gap between them was like the heavens and the earth. Although it was rare to find an alchemist who could refine a Tier 9 treasure pill on the continent, it was not impossible, but in the last 100 years, Yao Laro had never heard of anyone successfully refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill. From this point, it was possible for one to vaguely understand the difficulty of refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill. The energy in the distant sky crazily whistled before gathering into 4 huge tornadoes. One side of the tornado was connected to a fire cauldron while the other was wildly absorbing the rich natural energy. This natural energy continuously poured into the fire cauldron. The people around the stadium suddenly felt the do chi within their bodies showing signs of breaking free from in the face of this all-out suction from the 4 individuals. Immediately, a shock rose in their hearts. They hurriedly pulled back in panic, afraid that the do chi within their bodies, which they had obtained after much hard work, would be dragged away by the 4 storms in the sky. If that occurred, their losses would be far too great. This unusual phenomenon in the sky continued for a total of 3 days. During this period of time, everyone lost track of the amount of energy that had been absorbed. They could only sense that the flowing energy in the surrounding air had become a lot thinner. The medicinal ingredients around the stadium had even begun to show signs of turning into a withering yellow. Their energy had been forcefully sucked away. Refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill could basically be described as man creating a divine object. The energy needed to form it was frighteningly large, enough to shock many elite doshungs. It had once been recorded in the ancient books that wherever a Tier 9 mysterious pill was born during the ancient era, everything within a 5-kilometer radius would turn barren because all the energy had been absorbed by the medicinal pill. This energy requirement was the reason why a Tier 9 mysterious pill would possess a shocking intelligence the moment it was born. Of course, there was still some difficulty if it wished to reach the level of the ancestor from the small pill tower. The ancestor's formation was partly due to luck. Moreover, the pill had merged with its owner's soul when it had been formed, resulting in the ancestor of the pill tower undergoing a transformation. After thousands of years of training, it had finally reached its current stage. Normally speaking, the ancestor was considered a completely unique existence. Although the members of the Yao Clan felt some heartache for those medicinal ingredients that had turned yellowish, there was nothing they could do. Some of the Yao Clan elders had quickly intervened and hurriedly placed some seals on the more precious medicinal fields around the medicine mountain. Otherwise, this medicine mountain would end up barren once the competition was over. The endless devouring continued for a total of 3 days. By noon of the 3rd day, everyone suddenly sensed the non-stop whistling in the sky suddenly become much quieter. They lifted their heads and saw the 4 huge tornadoes quietly disappear. 4,000-foot large fire cauldrons floated in the sky. An extremely shocking energy fluctuation vaguely spread from them. The ripples caused even the expressions of Xiao Yang and the 3 others to appear unusually grave. If the energy were to explode, they would at least be seriously injured if they even managed to keep their lives. All the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius has been absorbed. Yao Dan grabbed at the empty air in front of him before helplessly shaking his head. The energy contained in the air had reached a frighteningly low amount. It would require at least a couple of months in order for the medicine mountain to recover its richness. There is insufficient energy in this place. The pill refinement has failed. The many elders from the Yao Clan felt neither able to laugh nor cry. The embryonic form of the medicinal pills within the medicinal cauldrons of the 4 figures in the sky were only half complete, but the surrounding natural energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius had all been absorbed. There was no longer enough energy to support their pill refinements. The perfect heavenly state only allowed the 4 of them to control the natural energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius. Of course, if their souls had advanced to the legendary DI state, things would be completely different. At that time, one would be able to control the energy wherever one's spiritual perception could reach for one's own use. It was rumored that during ancient times, those ultimate experts, whose souls had advanced to the legendary DI state, could control nearly half of the central plane's energy with their thoughts. Just thinking of this level caused one to feel frightened. The eyelids of Xiao Yan and the 3 others in the sky were opened at this moment. They looked at the half-completed embryonic medicinal pills within their medicinal cauldrons and frowned. If they were unable to continue drawing energy from the surroundings, just their own do qi alone not enough to fill this huge pit. Looks like no one will be able to succeed this time around. Elder Wanhua bitterly laughed and shook his head. That may not be true. Elder Wanhua's words had just sounded when a strange laughter surfaced from Hun Huzi in the distance. The seals formed by his hands suddenly changed. Finally, his hand ruthlessly slammed against the fire cauldron in front of him. 3 clusters of black flame pillars erupted and turned into 3 crazily rotating black holes in the air above the fire cauldron. A frightening devouring force surged. The vast and mighty energy that was absorbed by the fire cauldrons belonging to the other 3 during the last few days had turned into many light pillars that were forcefully swallowed by the black holes. Hun Huzi, how dare you? The expressions of the 3 immediately became gloomy upon seeing their energy being sucked away. They had not expected this Hun Huzi to be this bold. He had directly targeted them. Old Man Shen and Elder Wanhua furiously cried out. The life spirit flame and the 9 serene wind flame immediately swept out and ruthlessly collided with the black holes, but this sudden assault caused the black holes to rotate with increasing speed. The devouring power erupted and swallowed both of their heavenly flames. Old Man Shenong's and Elder Wanhua's expressions immediately became ugly after seeing that their obstruction was futile. The life spirit flame might be ranked quite high, but it was more famous for its aiding ability. If they were to really battle, it was impossible for the life spirit flame to be a match for the nihility devouring flame. The 9 serene wind flame was merely ranked 10th. It was extremely difficult for this flame to make up the gap between it and the nihility devouring flame. Ha, the both of you actually wish to stop my nihility devouring flame with these types of heavenly flames. You must be dreaming. Hun Huzi loudly laughed, but his laughter had just sounded when his expression changed. His eyes hurriedly shifted to the black hole above Xiao Yang's fire cauldron. He saw a fire glow shoot out from that fire cauldron. After which, it turned into a fire baby. The fire baby wore an expression of disdain as he waved his small hand. A pink flame surged and wrapped around the black hole. The devouring power of the black hole was eroded by a mysterious purifying force the moment it met the pink flame. The nihility devouring flame possessed a devouring power while the purifying demonic lotus flame possessed a purifying force. Although it was difficult to determine which was stronger, the purifying demonic lotus flame in Xiao Yang's hands not only possessed a heavenly flame spirit, it was also a genuine essence flame. On the other hand, Hun Huzi merely controlled a seed flame. It might not be an ordinary seed flame, but it was obvious that it could not compete with the purifying demonic lotus flame that Little Yi had transformed into. Hun Huzi, thank you for your gift. I will accept the energy within this heavenly flame. Xiao Yang slightly smiled. He purified that black flame into pure energy and poured it into the fire cauldron. Light surged within the fire cauldron and the embryonic medicinal pill became more solid. This brat. Hun Huzi's expression sank as he sat in the distance. He had not expected to not only be unable to devour any energy, he had also lost a bit of energy for his seed flame. After suffering such a loss, he could only cease targeting Xiao Yang. Although his nihility devouring flame seed flame was hard for Old Man Shenong and Elder Wanhua to deal with, it was clearly far from sufficient to deal with Xiao Yang's purifying demonic lotus flame. Humph, you will not be able to remain pleased for long. Hun Huzi's eyes flashed as he coldly laughed. The seal formed by his hands changed and the black holes devouring the energy from Old Man Shenong's and Elder Wanhua's cauldrons suddenly started to devour more. With an increasing amount of energy pouring in, his embryonic medicinal pill became brighter. According to this speed, it was actually showing signs of forming. Soon, a joy flashed across Hun Huzi's face when he saw it solidifying. However, the moment joy appeared, a pink flame suddenly rushed over. It turned into a fire baby that stood on his fire cauldron. The baby curled his mouth in disdain. After which, he slammed his palm on the cauldron cover and subsequently grabbed the embryonic pill in front of Hun Huzi's stunned eyes before escaping as smoke. You are seeking death. The dullness continued for an instant before Hun Huzi's furious roar suddenly rippled across the sky. The change of the situation was extremely comical. Little Yi had suddenly charged into Hun Huzi's fire cauldron and grabbed the embryonic medicinal pill that had yet to take shape. This had not only caused Hun Huzi to become furious, even Xiao Yan was stunned. This matter had nothing to do with him. Little Yi had taken his own initiative. Yao Dan and the many elders from the Yao Clan on the stadium watched this scene with a stunned expression. A moment later, their faces twitched. They had comical expressions of wanting to laugh but forcing themselves not to. No one have imagined that Xiao Yang's heavenly flame spirit would be so extreme. Hun Huzi had merely snatched some of their energy. Yet, it ruthlessly charged into the other party's fire cauldron and snatched the embryonic pill away. You deserve it. Hun Huzi's actions early had irritated the elders from the Yao Clan, so they laughed in a soft gloating fashion. Yao Dan, who was in the leader's seat, shook his head without knowing whether or not he ought to laugh or cry. A proper medicinal pill competition had ended up in this strange situation where the competitors snatched from each other. This caused one to feel helpless. This little brat really doesn't follow an ordinary path. Yao Lao chided with a smile. He was unaware that this matter was completely unrelated to Xiao Yang. In front of many gazes, little Yi in the sky flashed and appeared in front of Xiao Yang. That small fleshy face was laughing. His hands were hugging a light cluster that was larger than his body. If one saw through the light cluster, one would vaguely see a baby-like light figure. This was the embryonic form of the medicinal pill Hun Huzi had been refining. Xiao Yang, I will rip you into pieces today. The sound of wind and thunder exploded a short distance away. Hun Huzi's face was densely cold. His demeanor from earlier had been destroyed by little Yi. This was the first time that such a thing had happened to him. The embryonic pill he had refined after much hardship had been taken away by little Yi even before he could see its shape. The fury within his heart could not be described with words. After Hun Huzi's furious cry sounded, a black flame suddenly shot out of his fire cauldron in all directions before it turned into a black fire dragon that crazily rushed towards Xiao Yang. Its huge mouth was filled with an endless devouring force. Hun Huzi, since you like energy, this elderly self shall give some to you. A green sea of flames suddenly swept over from below after the black fire dragon rushed forward. Countless huge trees grew almost instantly, after which, they appeared like vines as they entangled the black fire dragon. Old man Shen, you actually dare oppose me? Although this sudden attack did not really harm black fire dragon, it had still managed to obstruct it. Hun Huzi's expression immediately turned cold once the dragon was slowed. He looked at old man Shen in the distance and cried out in a stern voice. This elderly self has already lived for so long. I have never been afraid of anyone. If I have the ability, I wish to eliminate a traitor like you who has betrayed your teacher. Otherwise, you bring shame to the face of all alchemists. Old man Shen coldly laughed as he replied to Hun Huzi's sharp cry. His tone appeared quite sharp. Given your strength. Are you sick of living, old fellow? I have not even begun targeting that life spirit flame of yours, yet you dare to provoke me. Hun Huzi's eyes were dark and cold. A savage smile lifted on the corner of his eyes. He clenched his large hand and the black fire dragon roared at the sky. It opened its huge mouth toward the green sea of flame below. A devouring power erupted as it swallowed the green sea of flames into its body. A pale black tornado was ruthlessly swung into Hun Huzi's body just as he was about to swallow the sea of flames. A flame exploded and actually sent the black fire dragon flying. Wanhua, is your Yao clan trying to become enemies with my Hun clan? Hun Huzi's expression became extremely terrifying after being obstructed again. A devouring look shot toward Elder Wanhua in the distance as he demanded in a dense voice. The competition has nothing to do with the clans. Don't tell me that only you are allowed to attack me and I am not allowed to do the same. What a joke. Elder Wanhua waved his sleeve and ridiculed Hun Huzi. Alright, the corner of Hun Huzi's eyes twitched. He ended up laughing from extreme anger. His arm continued to tremble from anger. Strange black flames wiggled like poisonous snakes deep within his eyes. These flames were about to escape from his eyes when Hun Huzi appeared to have thought of something. He hesitated for a moment and withdrew his gaze. He coldly laughed. You are thinking of blocking me with the strength of the both of you? The black fire dragon suddenly rushed forward after his voice sounded. It firmly wrapped around the tornado that the 9 serene wind flame had turned into. The 2 enormous creatures wildly churned in the sky. Hot rain made of fire descended from the sky. Fortunately, with the intervention of the elders from the Yao clan, the medicine mountain was not destroyed by the rain made of fire. Xiao Yang watched the 3 great heavenly flames engage in a chaotic battle a great distance away. He involuntarily felt a little surprise that Old Man Shen and Elder Wanhua would intervene and lend him a hand. It seemed that it was really not easy to deal with Hun Huzi. There is not much time. I must first extract the energy from this embryonic pill. A thought passed through Xiao Yang's heart. After which, he returned his focus to the embryonic pill from earlier. The energy needed to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill was far too shocking, but if he added Hun Huzi's embryonic pill, he would gain a higher chance of success. Snatching the energy from someone else's embryonic pill was an action that could not be undertaken by a regular alchemist because the two types of medicinal pills were different. The pill refinement would end in failure if they were randomly mixed. However, Xiao Yang did not worry about such a concern. With the purifying ability of the purifying demonic lotus flame, anything that entered Little Yi's body would be turned into the purest energy. This included the various medicinal properties in the embryonic pill. Little Yi, who possessed a mental connection with Xiao Yang, was aware of the thought that had passed through Xiao Yang's mind. He widened his mouth and devoured the embryonic pill. A vast and mighty energy crazily surged within his body before rapidly swelling. He transformed into a giant baby that remained suspended in the sky. After Little Yi's body swelled, the light cluster within his body brightened. The light cluster then transformed into a huge light pillar that shot into the fire cauldron. The frightening energy contained within the light pillar was so vast and mighty that it caused one's expression to change. Bastard! The embryonic pill had finished being refined. Hun Huzi, who had some connection with it, immediately sensed something. His eyes turned blood red. A furious cry sounded. His figure charged into the black fire dragon. When his body entered it, the fire dragon's strength immediately soared. The dragon tail was swung, exploding the green sea of fire and the black fire tornado apart. Xiao Yang frowned as he looked at Hun Huzi, who had charged over with a surging killing intent. He flicked his finger, and a black light flashed and appeared beside him. The Northern King's feet ruthlessly slammed against empty air. Its body appeared like a cannonball as it collided with the black fire dragon. An unusually intense battle erupted. The cluster of light within Little Yi's body slowly dimmed after Xiao Yang summoned the Northern King to fight Hun Huzi. Finally, it disappeared. The energy inside his body had been purified and had poured into Xiao Yang's fire cauldron. It's still not enough. Even though the energy within the fire cauldron had become as viscous as a liquid after having devoured Hun Huzi's embryonic pill, it still did not show any signs of forming. Xiao Yang frowned upon noticing this resistance. The energy that a Tier 9 mysterious pill required was far too frightening. Xiao Yang, the medicinal properties of my embryonic pill were disturbed by Hun Huzi. Today, I shall give you a blessing. Whether you can refine the Tier 9 mysterious pill that I have sought for all my life will depend on your luck. Old Man Shen in the distance quickly saw through Xiao Yang's situation. While Xiao Yang was feeling a headache because of the issue of energy, he waved his hand and a cluster of light flew out of his medicinal cauldron. Finally, it shot toward Little Yi. Thank you, Elder Shen. Xiao Yang rejoiced upon seeing the light shooting over. He cupped his hands and thanked Old Man Shen. I have not seen a Tier 9 mysterious pill be born for hundreds of years. This time around, I will treat this as an eye-opener. Elder Wanhua by the side hesitated for a moment after seeing what Old Man Shen did. Finally, he softly sighed and tossed the embryonic medicinal pill in his medicinal cauldron to Xiao Yang in front of the stunned gazes of many Yao Clan elders. Thank you very much. Xiao Yang took another glance at Elder Wanhua. His heart had formed a good impression of this member of the Yao Clan, the first good impression of the entire clan. He cupped both of his hands and ceased delaying. After which, he tossed the two embryonic medicinal pills into Little Yi's body. They immediately turned into two vast and mighty light pillars that shot into his medicinal cauldron. After an incomparably mighty energy poured in, the liquid energy surging within the fire cauldron rapidly melted. A faint light slowly appeared in the middle of the cauldron before filling with liquid energy. Rumble. Dark clouds began to cover the clear sky the moment this tiny light spot appeared. The black mass covered the land. Black thunderbolts, which carried a destructive force, rapidly shuttled through the clouds. The deep roar of rumbling thunder caused many people to reveal stunned faces. It was the first time they had seen such terrifying pill lightning. Xiao Yang lifted his head. His eyes were wildly heated as he looked at the black lightning that covered the sky. His sleeve suddenly shook and the fire cauldron's cover was automatically flipped. A wave of medicinal fragrance that would not scatter swiftly spread apart. In the end, it formed various beads of different lusters that descended from the sky, as though a grand pill rain was occurring. The divine scene made the hearts of many alchemists involuntarily quiver. They actually began to kneel down. Yao Dan in the leader's seat inhaled a deep breath of air as he watched this scene. His voice trembled slightly as he softly muttered. Pill rain descends, Mysteria pill appears. Pills poured down from all over the sky and landed on the square, emitting a clear rain droplet-like sound. This kind of pills might not be considered medicinal pills, but they are formed from pure energy. Consuming it would be greatly beneficial to one's body. Xiao Yang's body was suspended in the sky. Even with his calmness, his eyes involuntarily revealed an expression of wild joy. He had heard about the phrase pill rain descend, mysteria pill appears. However, it was the first time he had personally witnessed such a mysterious scene. It has, actually really succeed. Xiao Yang received a medicinal pill with his hand, which trembled slightly. This result had completely exceeded his expectations. Even with his current ability, his chances of success in refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill would not exceed 40%. However, if one was to really discuss about this pill refinement, there was indeed some element of luck within it. A medicinal pill contained the energy of 4 embryonic pills. This kind of matter could be described as extremely rare. The 4 embryonic pills contained various different medicinal properties. Although most of the medicinal strength had been turned into pure energy after Little Yi's refinement, there was still a trace of medicinal property lingering within it. These slight medicinal properties would merge into Xiao Yang's embryonic pill and mix together. Adding the fierce refinement by the purifying demonic lotus flame, it had underwent a slight change that no one could expect. The result of that change seemed to have made up for some imperfection within the embryonic pill and result in the successful refinement of this pill. If any one of these various coincidences were to be not exist, it was likely that even if Xiao Yang had absorbed the energy from the 3 embryonic pills, he would likely end up failing. However, there was no IFS in this world. Everyone present would not bother about this kind of imaginary IFS. They could see with their own eyes that Xiao Yang had actually successfully refined a Tier 9 mysterious pill. The Tier 9 mysterious pill, which no one had successfully refined in hundreds of years, had descended in front of their very own eyes. Rumble. The black lightning like huge python wildly shuttled through the thick dark clouds in the sky. That ferocious heavenly might caused the necks of many to shrink. They were afraid that the black thunderbolt would descend onto their heads. Bang! The 1,000 feet large fire cauldron suddenly trembled while dark clouds churned in the sky. Immediately, a light pillar erupted into the sky. It was vaguely possible to see an egg-like light cluster within the light pillar. The enormous light pillar was inserted into the thunderclouds in front of many pairs of eyes. Immediately, the thundercloud churned intensely. Many black lightning lingered around the light pillar in a densely packed manner like some howling black pythons. Finally, they ruthlessly smashed towards the cluster of light egg within the light pillar. Bang! This earth-shaking-like strike caused even the entire medicine mountain to tremble. A deafening sound continued to appear unceasingly. Xiao Yang's expression was anxious as he looked at the cluster of light egg under the lightning that covered the sky. Within it was the Tier 9 mysterious pill. Once it experienced this lightning tribulation, it would be able to break out and appear. No one was able to aid it in such a matter. Even Xiao Yang could only choose to observe from the side. A Tier 9 mysterious pill was different from other medicinal pills, which allowed others to block the pill lightning. This kind of mysterious pill required the energy within the lightning to allow them to become completely perfect. Under Xiao Yang's anxious eyes, the cluster of light egg within the light pillar not only did not shatter but had instead become even brighter. Traces of black lightning arcs continued to flash over the egg. Crack! Those wild and fierce explosions continued for over 10 minutes before it gradually showed signs of weakening. The lightning had only just weakened when a slight cracking sound was emitted from the egg. Everyone immediately felt their hearts shook. Their eyes stared intently at the egg. It was possible to see a small crack line suddenly spreading on its surface. Crack! After the appearance of the first crack line, a domino effect seemed to have been created. An increasing number of crack lines appeared on the egg. Trace of light seeped out from within, causing the egg to be filled with a glaring light. Boom! A black thunderbolt suddenly rushed down from the sky just as the crack lines gradually covered the egg. It ruthlessly smashed onto the egg itself. Immediately, the many crack lines suddenly spread. Finally, it emitted a bang and finally exploded apart. A shocking medicinal fragrance spread in the sky the moment the egg exploded. The medicinal fragrance lingered and agglomerated into the shape of many medicinal herbs, which covered the sky. This appeared extremely mysterious. A light figure suddenly flashed and appeared in the sky while everyone were absent-minded because of this unusual scene in the sky. Immediately, it swiftly rushed out of the medicine mountain with lightning-like speed. The rich medicinal fragrance behind it was so dense that it also appeared to have a form. That is the Tier 9 mysterious pill. It is actually intending to escape. The entire mountain turned into an uproar after this light figure appeared. Countless of people suddenly stood up. Their eyes were heated as they looked at the light figure in the sky. Greed surged from deep within their eyes. There was hardly anyone who could remain calm in the face of the temptation from a Tier 9 mysterious pill. However, an icy cold snort resounded over the sky while greed rose in some people's hearts. This immediately caused their hearts to turn cold. They woke up and hurriedly and quickly withdrew their feet, which was about to step forward. It was likely that trying to snatch the Tier 9 mysterious pill from the hands of someone who had defeated the chief of the Hall of Soul was not a simple task. A pair of green-red bone wings appeared behind Xiao Yan after deterring these people who were ready to cause trouble. His body moved and he appeared in front of the light figure. His hand slammed forward in the process. Yellow spring palm. An enormous energy handprint suddenly descended from the sky while being accompanied an intense wind pressure. It ruthlessly smashed onto the light figure. The handprint scattered the light on the surface of the figure. A trembling naked figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The figure had long black hair with a delicate and gentle beautiful body. Those pretty large eyes contained some horror as they looked at Xiao Yang. That pitiful appearance stirred the protective desire of many people. It already knows how to use this method to confuse others after having just been born. A Tier 9 mysterious pill really lives up to its reputation. Xiao Yang's eyes were surprised as he looked at the naked beautiful lady. However, he simply laughed softly and said, "A medicinal pill does not have any gender. You have turned into this appearance of yours a moment ago, right?" After hearing Xiao Yang's words, the originally pitiful-looking beauty was immediately startled. Her body pulled back hurriedly. Xiao Yang took a stride forward and directly appeared in front of the lady. He pointed with his finger and it landed on his forehead with lightning-like speed. A spiritual imprint appeared. Following which, the lovely figure of the lady trembled and it gradually became illusory. Finally, it turned into a round medicinal pill the size of a dragon eye with various unusually fragrance lingering over it. Xiao Yang took out a jade bottle from within his storage ring. After placing a few layers of spiritual seals on it, he finally carefully placed this Tier 9 mysterious pill inside. This pill had an extremely vast and mighty energy. Unfortunately, it did not know how to use it. Otherwise, even Xiao Yang would not have such an easy time subduing it. Seeing this, Xiao Yang placed the medicinal pill into his storage ring. Many people below revealed an expression of disappointment. However, the former ignored them. He turned around and looked at Hun Huzi, who was still engaged in an intense battle with the Northern King. He involuntarily laughed and waved his hand. The Northern King pulled back and floated beside him with indifferent eyes. "Haha, thank you for the gift." Xiao Yang laughed and cupped his hands together towards Hun Huzi, Old Man Shen Nong and Elder Wanhua after having kept the Northern King. Old Man Shen Nong and Elder Wanhua smiled faintly upon hearing this. However, Hun Huzi's expression was distorted. He did not expect that the embryonic pill, which he had bitterly refined for a couple of days, had ended up aiding Xiao Yang. There are talents in every generation. Young friend Xiao Yang's accomplishment in terms of alchemist skills is really breathtaking. It is likely that no one in this alchemist world will be able to compare with you. You are indeed worthy of being the top alchemist. Old Man Shen Nong beckoned with his hand. The green sea of flame in the sky turned into a medicinal herb's walking stick and appeared in his hand. He glanced at Xiao Yang and laughed. This Yao Chen is indeed taught an incredible disciple. If I have known this, I would not have allowed Yao Wangue to randomly do as he pleased back then. The many elders from the Yao Clan had complicated expressions upon hearing these words. They looked at each other and could only sigh quietly. Regardless of how proud they were, they had no choice but to admit this at this moment. Clan head Yao Dan, Xiao Yang still have another request to make today. Xiao Yang glanced at Yao Lao. After which, he looked at Yao Dan on the leader's chair, cupped his hands together and said, "I know what you wish to say." Yao Dan's expression was a little complicated. He sighed softly, glanced towards Yao Lao and said, "Yao Chen, from today onwards, you are perhaps the most outstanding talent within the Yao clan. You can leave whatever you like on the clan tablet." "Thank you, clan head Yao Dan." Yao Lao's hand trembled gently. His long-cherished wish was finally realized at this moment. Even with his calmness, his heart was still extremely excited. "Haha, clan head Yao Dan, I also have a request to make today." Hun Huzi in the sky suddenly opened his mouth and laughed with a strange expression the moment Xiao Yang sighed in relief. "Oh." Yao Dan frowned slightly. He looked at Hun Huzi's expression. A caution surged into his heart. "Please speak." The smile on Hun Huzi's face became even stranger upon seeing this. He licked his mouth. His next words, however, caused the expressions of everyone to change drastically. "I wish to temporarily borrow the Chu-Shi ancient god Jade from the hands of the Yao clan," a rock stirring a giant wave. After Hun Huzi uttered these words, the stadium, which had turned into an uproar because of the birth of the Tier 9 mysterious pill, became completely silent. The expressions of all the elders from the Yao clan turned gloomy at that instant. A cold glow flashed within their eyes. Each of the 8 ancient clans had one part of the Chu-Shi ancient god Jade respectively. All of the clans treated it as a great treasure and kept it safe. Even an ordinary elder would not be able to see it. This matter might not appear unusual in the eyes of those who were unaware of it, but those who did looked at Hun Huzi as though they were watching a lunatic. How would it be possible for the Yao clan to loan such a treasure to him? Could it be that this person had gone crazy? This fellow. Xiao Yan knitted his brow tightly as he looked at Hun Huzi. The strange smile on the latter's face caused him to feel that something was not quite right. Uttering such words to the Yao clan was undoubtedly challenging the prestige of the Yao clan. Given this fellow's tier 6 Do Shun class strength, it was impossible for him to escape from the hands of Yao Dan. Something is not quite right. Xiao Yang's many years of experience had also allowed him to become extremely sensitive. He felt that something was not quite right. This Hun Huzi was not a fool. He should understand just what kind of treatment he would receive from the Yao clan by uttering such words. Yet, he was unafraid. Xiao Yang's heart involuntarily sunk slightly after he thought of this. His body moved and he appeared beside Yao Lao. His expression was grave as he softly said, "Be careful." Yao Lao also nodded gravely. He could sense that this Hun Huzi was a little strange. Elder Wanhua's expression was dark and solemn as he stood in the sky. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at Hun Huzi. Once Yao Dan give the order, he would immediately attack with all his strength and kill this person, who dared to challenge the prestige of the Yao clan in front of so many people. Hun Huzi, do you know what you are saying? Yao Dan looked at Hun Huzi in the sky from his leader's seat without any expression. However, there was a sharp chill flashing over his eyes. His voice did not contain any emotions as it was slowly emitted from within his mouth. Ha ha, clan head Yao Dan, the Tushi ancient god Jade is something that brings disaster. It will only bring a calamity to you if it remains in the Yao clan. Handing it to me in exchange for your safety might be a little better, right? Hun Huzi laughed. It was as though he did not feel the murderous intent surging within Yao Dan's eyes. Hun Huzi, you are acting too fearlessly. Today, I will first capture you and get the clan head of your Hun clan to come and bring you back. The expressions of Elder Wanhua turned completely gloomy as Hun Huzi's words sounded. A furious cry sounded. Vast and mighty Do Chi suddenly swept out in all directions. His body flashed and he appeared above Hun Huzi's head. A large flame wind gathered into a huge palm as it ruthlessly smashed towards the latter. It is almost time. Hun Huzi merely smiled faintly in the face of the ferocious attack from Elder Wanhua. He lifted his head and looked at the distant sky before muttering to himself. Immediately, a strange grin appeared on the corner of his mouth. The black flame deep within his eyes surged out wildly like a furious dragon, which had been suppressed for a long time. After the black flame surged, Hun Huzi's aura also soared suddenly. Bang! Hun Huzi waved his sleeve as he stood in the sky. That ordinary palm collided with the enormous wind flame palm. After which, everyone was shocked to find that the wind flame palm was completely devoured into Hun Huzi's upon contact. On the other hand, that Elder Wanhua, who had a shocking aura, seemed to have suffered from a serious blow. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out and his body flew backwards. Finally, it landed miserably onto the stadium below, smashing and forming a huge deep pit in the process. Ha ha, I have accompanied all of you to play for such a long time. Just treat this as some interest. Hun Huzi's long hair fluttered in the absence of any wind as he stood in the sky. Both of his eyes had already been completely covered by a black flame, giving him an exceptionally strange appearance. His faint voice resounded over the entire stadium as this occurred. 7-star Do Shung, everyone's expression had changed drastically at this moment. They looked at Hun Huzi in the sky with disbelief. The aura that the latter had emitted earlier had far surpassed Elder Wanhua. This fellow has actually been hiding his strength. Don't tell me that he really intends to snatch the ancient Jade of the Yao clan. Yao Lao softly said. His expression changed as he watched this scene. Xiao Yang's expression had become extremely grave at this moment. Both of his eyes stared intently at Hun Huzi. Since the very beginning, he actually failed to discover that this person was hiding his strength. Even in his fury from having the embryonic pill being snatched away, he was actually able to suppress his strength. This fellow is really scheming. However, could it be that he really wished to snatch the ancient Jade from the Yao clan with just his strength? Yao Dan's expression had finally turned completely dark and cold as he stood on the leader's seat. He slowly stood up and stared intently at Hun Huzi. He spoke in a dense voice, "Send the signal. Inform the Yang clan and the Lei clan. Tell them, we have found the perpetrator responsible for the disappearance of the Ling and Shi clan." Everyone had a change in expression after Yao Dan's words sounded. Even Xiao Yang's body trembled suddenly. They lifted their heads and looked at Hun Huzi in a shocked manner. It was really done by the Hun clan? Understood. Although those Yao clan's elders trembled after being frightened by Yao Dan's words, they still quickly took out a scroll and swiftly opened it. A spatial fluctuation quickly spread. However, this spatial fluctuation was about to agglomerate into a spatial tunnel when it seemed to have to disturbed by something. Immediately, it shook intensely. The tunnel, which had just been formed, disappeared in an instant. Many people in the Yao clan felt their hearts turn cold upon seeing this scene. Some of the elders were quick to react and hurriedly let out the emergency siren within the clan. Immediately a commotion broke out in the neighboring mountain range. Densely packed Yao Clan's warriors hurriedly broke through the air and arrived like a swarm of locusts. Hun Huzi, what have you done? An elder of the Yao Clan cried out in a stern voice. It looks it is completed. Hun Huzi smiled slightly while standing in the sky. He did not even give those Yao Clan's warriors, who had hurried over, another glance as he spoke casually. Nothing. I have merely locked the Yao Clan's realm. A commotion was stirred below after these words sounded. Those various experts, who had come to observe the medicinal ceremony, had a drastic change in expression. They took out their spatial scroll and quickly tore it apart. However, the result was exactly the same as what had happened earlier. Something big is about to happen. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of cool air. His expression had become unprecedentedly ugly. He did not expect that the Hun Clan's target would actually be the Yao Clan. Moreover, no one had expected that they would come when the Yao Clan was holding the medicinal ceremony. Yao Dan's expression was gloomy. His finger pressed on a storage ring and directly shattered it into dust. The ring could specially transfer the fluctuation to the Yang Clan's and the Lei Clan's heads. Only the 3 clan heads could possess it. Ha, Clan head Yao Dan, there is no need to waste your effort, Hun Huzi laughed. Yao Dan ignored his words. His eyes stared at his finger and indeed saw that the fluctuation, which had appeared at that spot, had begun to randomly roam around like a headless housefly. Clearly, it could not be transmitted out of this place. Yao Dan's heart had completely sunk upon seeing this. Hun Huzi, my Yao Clan and the Yang Clan has already built a spatial tunnel. If they discover that the tunnel has vanished, they will definitely know that something has happened to my Yao Clan. The Jiu clan will definitely not sit back idly and watch when news spread. If our 4 clans were to join hands, your Hun Clan will definitely be destroyed. Yao Dan's heart might have sunk, but he was after all the head of a clan. He immediately recovered his calmness and spoke in a deep voice. My Hun Clan is able to eliminate the Ling and Shi clan without the Jiu clan detecting anything. Naturally, we can also let your Yao Clan quietly vaporize from this world, Hun Huzi spoke in a faint voice. With just you. Yao Dan's body slowly rose into the sky. The frightening aura of a 7-star Do Sheng erupted without being held back. That powerful pressure was actually even stronger than that Hun Huzi. This strength was indeed worthy of the head of a clan. Elder Hun Huzi, this is a matter between your Hun Clan and Yao Clan. It has nothing to do with us. I hope that you will show mercy and allow us to leave. We will definitely repay you in the future. Those many chiefs and elders from the various sects, who had come to observe the medicinal ceremony, hurriedly cried out respectfully when Yao Dan rose to the sky. At this moment, they had also felt some panic. The previous example of how the Shi and Ling clans were completely wiped off allowed them to understand that they would definitely die if they were to be dragged into this matter. That is only naturally. Those who are not from the Yao clan can leave. I will not stop you, Hun Huzi smiled warmly and said after hearing this. Thank you, Elder. Many people from the various sects rejoiced upon seeing this. They did not dare to utter any unnecessary words as they turned around and rushed towards the entry to the Yao realm with all their strength. Xiao Yan looked at the backs of these people and frowned slightly. Having dealt with the Hun clan many times before, Xiao Yan naturally understood just how ruthless these people were. It was clearly impossible for them to allow anyone to leave. This thought had only just flashed across Xiao Yang's heart when countless of black light flashed over the distant horizon. Miserable cries immediately sounded. Everyone was shocked to see an endless black flame seeping out from the emptiness while the black light flashed in the distance. Finally, it spread in all directions and covered this entire place. Everything became dark almost instantly. This is the genuine nihility devouring flame. Xiao Yang looked at the black flame seeping out from within the emptiness. His eyes suddenly shrunk. Little Yi had also opened its eyes within his body. That tender little face was unusually grave. Clearly, even it had sensed an intense danger. Hun Huzi was suspended in the sky. There was a monstrous black flame behind him. He smilingly lowered his head and looked at Yao Dan. Both of his arms were slowly widened. The smile on his face became increasingly strange. Yao Dan, I am honored to announce to you that the Yao clan is finished. This video will end here.